So lately I saw on Reddit and Discord and stuff about how people are saying that longbow damage kind of sucks, so I got curious and decided to try out the weapon myself and see what all the fuss is about, right? So I took a glance at the bow masteries, and honestly they look so underwhelming compared to like great sword or daggers. Although I do like longbow stance and how it looks. So that's kind of a bonus for me when playing this weapon. The only issue I have with bow is the wind mechanic, which affects that Roxy's arrowhead passive, which also has like super duper low chance to shoot an additional arrow without the wind bonus. There's also that sniper's sense passive, which scales with distance, and that gave me an idea to try to make spear attacks reaching as far as possible so that it benefits from sniper's sense. And the nice thing about spear is that it's the longest range melee weapon, which means it will also scale better with range modifiers, making it almost a ranged weapon. And without further ado, here's my gear setup. And I tried to max out my range stat as much as possible so that spear can benefit from sniper's sense as well as the Transcendent Tempest set. The Rancer has a pretty long range by default, and it also has pretty good critical chance, which is great for the crit damage setup. I also picked Deep Fathom gloves for its huge range bonus on top of its range trait, which would result in an 18% increase for range stat. Spineflower cape kinda sucks, but it gives 13% range, so I ended up getting it anyway. But DPS-wise, Starlight Fur Cloak would be a way better option. Sinking Sun Signet and Band of Ancestor Blood also gives a lot of range, so I put them in my sync slots thanks to Da Vinci's favor. Burger Steel String Bow also gives the highest possible range stat, although I see more people use Arc of Lunar Radiance, so I'm not sure which is better for DPS. Lastly, I recommend getting 50 Perception for that little range bonus, and there's also a few self buffs from Spear and passives. So Perception isn't that bad to invest in. Chaos Harbinger is meta for DPS at the moment, but I would want to try Abyssal Beast artifacts as well for that 10% range set effect. As for weapon mastery, Roxy's Arrow Storm is pretty important since it increases your Roxy passive chance to 10%. So that's like 1 arrow out of 10 that can proc an additional arrow. I also try to max out the smaller range increase nodes first, before going for anything else. Same thing with Spear masteries, since it got quite a few range increase nodes. Although I don't really like any of the achievement nodes from Spear since it seems like they're used for very niche situations or for PvP in general. I also tried to avoid the unlimited arsenal node because the original node works with bow. So you don't have to get it as it reduces the proc chance by 3%. So that's that for masteries. Moving on, I'll show you guys my skill setups. And I have 2 setups in total, one for mobbing and the other is for single target stuff. So for the mobbing setup, it's pretty much like every other spear users with the flame spear. And I also have the sentinel barrier thing and healing touch for some sustain. Bloodleech aura isn't that good, but it's an AoE skill, so I use it anyway. And plus it heals me too since I'm squishy. I also don't use Rising Slash because I dislike how the skill looks. But it's just my preference, so you guys should definitely use it since it's a huge DPS boost. As for my single target setup, I use the non-fire skills so I can stack the burst effect easier. And the burst debuff is very important since it boosts the damage of some spear skills. I also don't use Rising Slash again because of preference, so you guys can bash me for it, but I will still not use it. I also don't use Gale Rush due to how it closes the distance between me and the target, and I don't want to walk away again to reposition myself. Javelin Surge looks pretty cool, so I added it to my rotation. And plus, it gives you skill damage boost when you hit the target with the skill. Ensnaring Arrow is also super important because it will boost the damage of your Cyclonic Fury and Indecisive Sniping. So what I usually do is I debuff them with Javelin Surge first, then Ensnaring Arrow into Indecisive Sniping. And lastly, Cyclonic Fury to finish the burst damage combo. And on a side note, make sure that you use Culling Arc first, before using Brutal Fury, because only Culling Arc can stack up the burst debuff, while Brutal Fury doesn't. Other than that, as always, if you have any suggestions or questions, feel free to let me know in the comments.